Okay, so we're on 2B.1, writing mathematical sentences. You are taking these notes in your handy dandy notebook. So that means we're on page 51. We just did 49 and 50. That means we're on 51. Okay. If your notebook is not organized, then, do it on paper and fix it later. Okay. The first few slides you're not going to write down. They're for us to like talk and go through, and then I'll tell you when to write. Cool. All right. So writing mathematical sentences. You're like, oh, words with math. Yes, that's what makes us algebra. Okay. Just like general conversations, do not write this down. When you're undoing things in reality, we are fairly comfortable, right? So if I tell you to turn on the TV, what are you going to tell me to do to undo that? Turn off the TV, right? If I tell you place a book in your backpack, what are you going to do to undo that? Take it out of your backpack, right? If I tell you type the word math into your device, how are you going to undo that? You're going to delete the word math out of your device, right? And when you delete it, are you deleting the letter M first or the letter H first? H. So you see how you're going backwards and undoing it, right? All right. If I tell you to put a sock on and then put a shoe on, there we go. Take your shoe off, and then put a sock on. Take your sock off. Okay. I actually had someone get confused and said, take your sock off, take your shoe off. And I was like, are you sure about that? Let me see you do it. So when we're undoing things in real world, we understand that you have to go from the last thing you did, right? But for some reason, when it comes to math, we forget that. And we just start wherever our heart tells us to start. Okay. We don't do that. All right. Next, still not writing things down. Do you look at these words up here? From second grade up to eighth grade, you should have come to the conclusion about all of these words and what they mean mathematically. Is this valid or not valid? Is there any word under either column that anyone's like, I had no clue that meant to do that? Quotient is the solution to a division problem. Yep. Your quotient is the solution to your division problem. Your product is your solution to a multiplication problem. Your difference is a solution to a subtraction problem, and your sum is a solution to an addition problem. Okay. All right. The reason why these words are listed are these are the most commonly used math words in word problems. And when you're reading the word problems, you guys tend to be like, I don't know what to do. Okay. Well, the thing is, do you know what the words mean mathematically? And if you don't, then that's why you don't know what to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So these are our list of general words that are used in math problems. And based on these words, we should know whether we're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. All right. So leading into these words leads us into mathematically when we're undoing something, that's called the inverse of it. Yes, ring a bell. Mathematically, when we're undoing, it's called the inverse. So if I said add 3 and I want you to undo 3, what would you tell me to do? Subtract 3. If I tell you to multiply by 5, you're going to tell me to do what? Divide by 5. This should be like a whole class unison here, okay? If I tell you to subtract 2 to undo, we're going to. Okay. If I tell you divide by -4, what are you going to tell me to do? Multiply by -4. When you're multiplying and dividing, the sign does not change. It remains with the number. Okay. If I tell you to take the square of a number, you're going to tell me to do what? Square root to undo it. All right. Two-stepper here. If I tell you to add 3 to a number and then multiply by 5. Good job. If I tell you to square a number and then subtract 2, what are you going to tell me to do? Bam. So you can do it. Then what happens when you're given the papers and assignments? I don't know why. Okay. You have the skills and ability to do this. All right. This first part of our unit is focused on writing math sentences. Okay. It's going to go fairly quickly. It's going to be a little tedious, but our example is literally only going to be 2 problems so that the practice is pretty straightforward. All right. So in your notebook, you're going to divide your notebook into quarters, which means you're going to divide it horizontally and vertically in half. So you should have quarters. So divide your paper vertically and horizontally in half. I'm trying to make a straight line. Oh, you're just playing with scissors. Oh, okay. All right. So once you have your quarters, what we're going to do is we're going to practice writing the actual math sentence. Okay. You're going to write the math sentence for the equation. And then we're going to write the math sentence to undo the equation. All right. So we're going to do it fairly quickly. We're doing these two together, and then you're going to have 6 to do on your own. Does that make sense? All right. So in the first box, our first example that we have is 2x plus 4 equals 8. So in the first box, you're writing 2x plus 4 equals 8. When you watched your Algebra 1 review videos, we talked about a variable, right? And a variable represents an unknown, a number, an unknown variable, unknown information, something that's interchangeable, correct? So when we're writing the mathematical sentence, you do not write what the variable is. You do not write x. You do not write y. You write what it represents. And because we have no clue what it represents, we're just going to call x a unknown or a number. Does that make sense? So when I write this as a mathematical sentence, that means I start with a capital letter and I end with a period. So here would be my sentence that represents this. A number multiplied by 2 plus 4 equals 8. Does that fit our situation? Is that accurate? All right, write your math sentence. You could say a variable, you could say an unknown, you can say anything, you just can't say X. Yep. Writing the sentence is useful because when you are tend to undo, if we can see it in sentence, just like you guys were so quick to tell me what to do when it was something you physically did, you understood we had to go backwards, right? Same thing here. You're understanding that once I have the sentence, I'm starting from the end of that sentence. So I'm starting from 8 and working my way back. Does that make sense? So when I'm doing the inverse of that, my inverse actions would be 8. And what am I going to do to 8? What's the first thing that I'm undoing? First thing is to undo the plus 4, which would be minus, right? And what is the result of a minus called? The difference. So however you choose to write it is up to you, right? So you can write 8 minus 4. Then I'm going to, or 8, 8 subtracted 4. And then I take the answer and do whatever. But however you choose to write it is up to you. But as long as you're understanding that you're starting from 8 and you're working your way backwards. So after I do that, then the next thing I have to undo is the multiplied by 2. Does that make sense? So then I'm going to take that answer and do what? Divide by 2. Okay. Remember, I am one of those lazy mathematicians, and the least amount of words I can use, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the least amount of words. So instead of me having to say, and then, I'm going to write just then. One time only. Okay. So I subtract 4 from 8, then divide the difference by 2. Okay. Could you say the results or the answers? Yes. But I know that it's subtraction, and the result of a subtraction problem is the difference. Okay. In that same box, you should have enough space for us to do what we just told ourselves to do. Do you have enough space to do that in your box? Well, yes, you do. So we told ourselves to do what first? So I have 8 minus 4. And I subtract that and I get 4. Then we told ourselves to do what? Divide by 2. After we do that, we end up with 2. So therefore, x is 2. We undid everything we told ourselves to do. Make sense? All right. So moving on. This is yours. Here we go. Giving you a little harder. So you're going to first write the sentence, and then you're going to do the inverse. Okay. So we have 3x squared equals 17. Write that in a complete math sentence. Who would like to share their sentence with the class? Anybody, everybody, or do I need to pick somebody? Go for it, Monty. I'll take it. Perfect. That's it. That's all I ask. All right. Who would like to share how they undo it? What's the inverse? Divide what by 3? So try it again. There we go. Okay. So I am dividing 17 by 3, then take the square root of the quotient. So I'm going to follow what I told myself to do. So I have 17 divided by 3, and then I take the square root. Can't do anything else with that because 17 divided by 3, is that pretty? Nope. So then this is what my x equals. I know it sounds crazy to do this, but this is an exercise for your brain so that when you're doing this, your brain will start naturally reading things like this. I'm reading the equation as a sentence, and therefore you know how to undo it. Because we can work sentences backwards all day long. It's for some reason when we see it as an equation for us to solve, we are like, oh no, what do I do? Okay. All right. So, our practice. If you need paper, you can grab it out of the basket. But for your practice, that's the notes. We're done with the notes. We did it. Good job. You're going to do the practice, but you're turning in the practice. Okay. So you're on a notebook paper, you're going to title it and put your name and title it 2B.1 practice. Okay. We're going to divide the paper in half. So half is going to be for you to write the equation in words. The other half is going to be able to write the inverse and solve in words. Okay. Just like we did in our note. And this is what it should look like. If you want to write bigger, you definitely can. And you can use the front and back of your paper. The problems, if you can't get them written down now in class, that's okay. They are posted on your Canvas and you can write them down. This should not take you more than 20 minutes to do. If it takes you longer than 20 minutes to do, then I need you to make your way to tutorials so that we can answer any clarifying questions, any points of confusion that you may have. So you can have clarity and be able to do it. Okay. Number 6 is a challenge. It leads us into our next section. So just to see what you put is not necessarily right or wrong, but what do you think you would do on number 6? All right. Are there any questions about 2B.1? We're good? Yeah. All right.